Act 1. The last normal night. You're 26 years old. You live in a small apartment in northern Tehran. You sell phone cases online and dream about moving to Istanbul. It's Friday night, February 27th. The protests that shook the country in January have calmed down. The rial is still worthless, but the streets are quiet. Your mother calls. She always calls on Fridays. She lives in Isfahan. She asks if you're eating. You lie and say yes. You check your phone. Telegram channels are buzzing about troop movements in the Gulf. American ships. Israeli jets. People have been saying this for months. Your roommate Dariush is cooking rice in the kitchen. He works at a bookstore that sells mostly censored copies of banned novels with the pages torn out. The TV is on. State media is talking about the nuclear negotiations. They say everything is under control. State media always says everything is under control. You scroll through posts. Someone shares a satellite image of American B-2 bombers taking off from Diego Garcia. You've seen 100 of these. You keep scrolling. Dariush says, turn it off and eat. He says, the world is always about to end, and it never does. You laugh and put the phone down. You eat dinner. You watch a Turkish series on a VPN. You brush your teeth. You set an alarm for 9 a.m. It's 11:47 p.m. You close your eyes. You will never be this version of yourself again. At 2:14 a.m. on February 28th, your windows rattle. Then they shatter. The sound arrives after the glass. A sound so deep it doesn't come through your ears. It comes through your ribs. The sky outside your broken window is orange. Tehran is on fire. Act 2. The first night. You're on the floor. Glass everywhere. Dariush is screaming your name from the hallway. The power is out. You grab your phone. The screen is cracked, but it works. 14 missed calls from your mother. You can't call back. The network is down. Another explosion. Closer. The building shakes, like something grabbed it and won't let go. You run to the stairwell. Your neighbors are already there. Mrs. Hosseini from the 3rd floor is carrying her cat. The Ahmadi family has 3 children in pajamas. Someone says go to the parking garage underground. That's the closest thing to a shelter this building has. Tehran has no bomb shelters. Nobody thought they'd need them. 40 people sit on concrete in a parking garage at 3 a.m. while the ceiling trembles. A child asks her mother if the building is going to fall. The mother says no. Nobody believes her. You check Telegram. 1 bar of signal. A channel says the Americans and Israelis hit the Supreme Leader's compound. They say Khamenei is dead. You don't know how to feel about that. The man who ordered the morality police to beat your sister at a checkpoint last year. The man whose government killed 7,000 protesters in January. A woman in the garage starts crying. An old man starts praying. A teenager pulls out his phone and you see a flash of light on his screen. He's filming. The explosions come in waves. 20 minutes of silence, then 3 in a row so fast the floor bounces. Someone says they hit the Parliament building. Someone says they hit the IRGC headquarters. Someone says they hit a hospital. Nobody knows what's real. At 5 a.m., the explosions slow down. Nobody moves. Nobody goes back upstairs. Your phone dies. You sit in the dark and listen to 40 people breathing in a parking garage in the richest neighborhood of a country that just lost its leader. This is the first night. It's also the last night that anyone in this city will sleep. Act 3. The Ghost City. Morning, you go upstairs. Your apartment has no windows. Glass covers every surface. The kitchen wall has a crack from floor to ceiling. You step outside. The street is empty. Tehran, a city of 9 million people, looks abandoned. No cars, no vendors, no noise, except car alarms that have been ringing for 4 hours straight, and a distant sound, like thunder, that isn't thunder. Smoke columns. You can count 7 from your rooftop, some thin and black, some wide and white. Each one was a building where someone worked yesterday. You walk to the corner store. It's been emptied, shelves bare. The owner left the door open like he was never coming back. Dariush says we need water. The tap runs brown for 10 seconds, then stops. He fills every pot, every bottle, every container in the apartment. You charge your phone with a power bank. 87 messages. Your mother is alive. Isfahan was hit, but she's okay. She says stay inside. Telegram is exploding. Videos of the Geisha Street complex destroyed. That's where the morality police headquarters was. Someone filmed people cheering in the street. The same channel shows a school in Minab hit by a strike. They say 168 girls were killed in the classroom. You feel the cheering and the horror at the same time. This is what it feels like to live in a country where the people who bomb you are also bombing the people who tortured you. You don't know who to hate. You don't know who to mourn. State TV comes back for 30 minutes on a neighbor's battery-powered radio. They say the military is responding. They say Operation True Promise 4 has begun. Missiles are flying the other direction now, toward Israel, toward Kuwait, toward Qatar. Your country is shooting back and you feel nothing. Dariush asks if we should leave Tehran. You ask where. The airports are closed. The highways are choked. The borders are sealed. You're trapped. 9 million people are trapped. The 7th largest city in the Middle East has become an open-air cage with no roof and no rules. By sundown, you've heard 32 explosions. You stopped flinching at 20. Act 4. Bread and water. Day 2. You need food. The canned goods won't last 3 days between you and Dariush. You walk 12 blocks to find a bakery that's open. The line wraps around the corner. 200 people waiting for bread at 7 in the morning, while jets draw white lines in the sky above them. A man in front of you says his cousin was killed in the IRGC base attack. He's crying. The man behind you says good riddance. They almost fight. Someone separates them. You buy bread for triple the normal price. The baker says, tomorrow it will be 5 times. He says the flour trucks aren't coming anymore. On the way home, an explosion hits something 3 blocks east. The ground jumps. Everyone drops flat. A woman's bag of rice splits open and grains scatter across the sidewalk. Nobody helps her pick them up. 30 people watch a woman on her knees scraping rice off asphalt, and nobody moves because every grain could be the difference between eating and not eating tomorrow. Back home, Dariush found a working tap 2 buildings over. He carried 40 liters in cooking pots up 3 flights of stairs. His hands are bleeding from the wire handles. You ration, half a piece of bread each for lunch, rice and canned beans for dinner, tea with no sugar because there's no sugar. Your neighbor Mr. Karimi knocks on the door. He's 73. He lives alone. He has no food. You give him a can of tuna and half your bread. He says thank you in a voice that tells you nobody has spoken to him in 2 days. He says his daughter lives in Canada. She can't reach him. The internet is gone. Night comes and the bombing resumes. The parking garage is full again. 40 people become 60. Some brought blankets, some brought nothing. A doctor from the 5th floor treats a woman who cut her arm on debris. He uses vodka as disinfectant and strips of a bedsheet as bandages. This is healthcare now. You lie on concrete and count explosions like sheep. 7, 12, 19. Sleep doesn't come, but consciousness fades into something gray. Somewhere above you, a city of 9 million people is learning how to survive 1 hour at a time. Act 5. The split. Day 3. The building splits, not the walls. The people, the Basiji family on the 2nd floor, government supporters. They hang a black flag on their door to mourn Khamenei. They play religious songs from a speaker at dawn. The university students on the 6th floor. They hated the regime. They protested in January. 3 of their friends were killed by security forces. For them, the bombs that hit the Morality Police building were justice. Both groups sit in the same parking garage at night. Both groups are terrified by the same explosions. Both groups share the same water. And both groups hate each other more than they hate the bombs. An argument erupts. The Basiji father says the Americans are murderers. A student says, the regime murdered us first. Mrs. Hosseini screams at both of them to shut up because her children are sleeping. Dariush pulls you aside. He says, this is what they want. Every country that bombs another country wants the people inside to tear themselves apart so they don't have to. You think about that. You think about the girl in Minab who was sitting in school when the ceiling became the floor. She didn't vote for anyone. She didn't protest for anything. She was learning math. You think about your sister, beaten by morality police for showing her hair. The same building that the Israelis turned to dust. Are you allowed to be glad and devastated at the same time? Day 4. The metro stations are becoming shelters. Hundreds of people sleeping on platforms. The government says they're equipping them with supplies. The government says a lot of things. You walk past the Azadi Stadium, or what's left of it. Iran's largest sports complex is rubble. You watched a football match there 6 months ago. A man is standing in front of the ruins taking a photo. He says his father proposed to his mother at this stadium in 1982. He's not crying. He's past crying. Iran is launching missiles back at Israel, at U.S. bases in Kuwait and Qatar. The IRGC says they've hit 27 targets. State media says victory is close. Nobody in the breadline believes that. Act 6. The deal. Day 5. A rumor spreads through the parking garage. Negotiations. Someone heard on BBC Persian that diplomats are talking. For 3 hours the bombing stops. Everyone looks up like animals sensing a storm passing. The silence is louder than the bombs. Then it resumes. 3 strikes in a row, the closest yet. The ceiling of the parking garage cracks. Dust falls like snow. A child screams and doesn't stop. Dariush says we need to leave the building. The crack in the ceiling is structural. If one more strike hits within 200 meters, the garage collapses and kills everyone in it. You argue. Go where? He says the metro station 4 blocks south. You say 4 blocks is 4 blocks of open sky, and open sky means target. You wait until 3 a.m. The strikes usually slow between 2 and 5. You carry what you can. Water bottles, canned food, phone chargers, a blanket. 60 people walk 4 blocks in the dark at 3 a.m. through a city being bombed. Nobody speaks. The only sound is shoes on broken glass. The metro station is already full. 300 people, maybe 400. The smell is what hits you first. Sweat and urine and fear and unwashed clothing. You find a corner near the platform edge. You sit on your blanket. Dariush sits next to you. Neither of you has showered in 5 days. Your phone has 2% battery. You send your mother a text. 3 words. I'm alive. You don't know if it sends. The network flickers like a candle in wind. Mr. Karimi didn't come with you. He said he's too old to move. He said if the building falls, it falls. You left him a can of beans and a bottle of water, and the look on his face when you closed his door will live in you forever. This is day 5. The diplomats are talking. The bombs are still falling. And an old man is sitting alone in a cracked building with a can of beans and the knowledge that the world forgot he existed. Act 7. The children. The metro station has its own world now. Rules form without anyone writing them. Families on the left, singles on the right, medical area near the entrance. Someone found a generator. 1 light bulb for 400 people. It hangs from a cable zip-tied to a pipe. The most important light bulb in Tehran. A teacher from a nearby school organized the children. 12 kids between 4 and 11. She gives them lessons in the corner. Math, Persian poetry, coloring on the backs of receipts. She does this because if the children are learning, they're not listening to the bombs. And if they're not listening to the bombs, they might survive this with their minds intact. A girl named Shireen draws a picture of a house with a garden and a sun with a face. She shows it to you. She says this is where we'll live when the bombs stop. She's 6. You tell her it's beautiful. You don't tell her that the house she drew looks exactly like the house that was standing 3 blocks from here yesterday. Dariush has become the water manager. He organizes groups of 3 to go to the surface at dawn when the strikes slow. They fill containers from broken pipes. It takes 20 minutes. 20 minutes of open sky. On the 6th trip, a strike hits 2 streets over while the water group is filling containers. They run back. One of them drops a 20-liter jug. 40 minutes of risk for water that's now soaking into asphalt. You start counting days by meals. 2 meals a day, half rations. You eat to not die. The concept of food as pleasure is something from another life. Your mother reaches you by text. Isfahan was hit again. She's in a basement with neighbors. She says she can hear everything. She says she loves you. She says pray. You haven't prayed since you were 13. You get on your knees in a metro station at 4 a.m., surrounded by 400 strangers, and you pray for the first time in 13 years. Not because you believe, because there's nothing left to do. Shirin gives you another drawing. This one has a rainbow. She says it's for when the sky comes back. Act 8. The crack. Day 7. Something breaks inside you. Not a thought, not an emotion. Something structural. You can't remember what your apartment looked like before the windows blew out. You can't remember what silence sounds like. Every explosion makes your hands shake. You hide them under the blanket. You think nobody notices. Dariush notices. He sits next to you and says nothing. He just sits. Sometimes that's all a person needs. Another person close enough to hear them breathing. A man in the station has a radio. BBC Persian says over 1,300 people killed in Iran. 181 of them are children. The number means nothing. Numbers never mean anything. But then you look at Shirin drawing rainbows on the floor, and the number becomes a face, and the face becomes unbearable. The teacher starts crying during a lesson. She turns away from the children so they don't see. She cries for 10 seconds, then wipes her face and turns back and finishes the lesson. That is the bravest thing you have ever seen a human being do. Your phone is dead, has been for 2 days. You don't know if your mother is alive. The not knowing is a kind of pain that lives in your stomach and never leaves. On the surface, the city is unrecognizable. Buildings you passed every day are craters. The bakery where you bought bread is gone. Not closed. Gone. Trump says on the radio that Iran is being demolished. He says he should choose the next leader. You hear this in a metro station that smells like 400 unwashed humans, and you feel a rage so deep it has no words. Dariush says rage is a luxury, survival isn't. He hands you a cup of water and says drink. Act 9, the surface. Day 9. The bombing slows, not stops, slows. The gaps between strikes stretch from 20 minutes to 2 hours. Then 4. People start going to the surface in groups. Not to live, to see, to understand what happened to their city. You walk out of the metro station at dawn. The light hurts your eyes after 9 days underground. Tehran looks like it aged 1,000 years. Craters where intersections were, rubble where apartments stood, cars melted into shapes that don't have names. The Azadi Tower is still standing. You don't know why that makes you cry, but it does. Something survived. People are appearing, from metro stations, from basements, from parking garages, blinking in the light like newborns seeing the world for the first time. You see a woman walk into the ruins of a building and come out holding a teapot. Just a teapot. She holds it like it's the most valuable thing on earth, because right now, it is. Dariush finds a working phone charger at an electronics shop that has no walls but still has a generator. A line of 40 people wait to charge their phones. The most important transaction in the city. Your phone turns on. You call your mother. It rings 7 times. She answers. She's alive. You can't speak. She can't speak. You stand in the ruins of your neighborhood and hold a cracked phone to your ear and listen to your mother breathe. That sound, that breathing, that is the only sound in the world that matters. BBC Persian says ceasefire talks are happening. France is involved. Qatar is involved. The UN Secretary General is calling for an immediate end. You walk back to your metro station. Shirin runs to you and shows you a new drawing. A city, with buildings and trees and people walking, and a sky that's blue. She says, this is Tehran when it's fixed. She says, it'll look like this. You promise her it will. You have no idea if that's true. But you made a promise to a 6-year-old in a metro station, and you'll die before you break it. Act 10. The sky comes back. Day 12. The ceasefire holds. No explosions for 24 hours, then 48, then 72. People leave the metro stations, not all at once, one by one, like animals leaving a burrow, testing the air, ready to run back at the first sound. You go home. The building is still standing, but the crack in the parking garage ceiling is wider. You step over glass that's been there for 12 days. Your apartment is cold, open to the sky where the windows were. Someone has taped plastic bags over the frames. You don't know who. It doesn't matter. It's the kindest thing anyone has ever done for you. Dariush is quiet. He sits on the couch with dust still in his hair and stares at a wall. You've both survived something that will take years to understand. Mr. Karimi is alive. He opens his door when you knock. He's lost weight. His eyes are different. But he's alive and he says, come in and I'll make tea. And you sit in his kitchen and drink tea that tastes like dust and gratitude. The internet comes back. Slowly. Like a faucet opening. Messages flood in. Friends alive. Friends missing. Friends gone. You read the names of the dead. You recognize some. The baker. The corner store owner. A girl from university whose name you can't remember but whose face you'll never forget. Your mother calls. She says she's coming to Tehran. You say the roads aren't safe. She says she doesn't care. Mothers don't care about roads when their children are alive and reachable. Shirin's family leaves the metro station. Her mother carries her. Shirin waves at you over her mother's shoulder. She left her last drawing on the floor where she slept. It's a picture of 2 stick figures standing under a blue sky, one big, one small. Underneath, in crooked 6-year-old handwriting, she wrote one word, safe. You fold the drawing and put it in your pocket. You will carry it for the rest of your life. Not as a memory, as proof that, in a metro station under a burning city, a 6-year-old girl still believed in blue skies. And she was right.